Hey y'all, welcome back to Restless Chipotle Kitchen. Today we are making a dessert that is absolutely delicious. It's full of chocolate and you never have to turn the oven on. Chocolate cobbler. They used to call it chocolate pudding cake, but Cracker Barrel, I believe, made it famous as chocolate cobbler, and so that's what it is. And it's basically a layer of chocolate cake with a thick, creamy chocolate pudding sauce underneath it. So when you scoop it out, you get the cake and you get the sauce. Serve it hot with a little vanilla ice cream on top. Perfect, delicious. And this recipe is all done in the microwave in about 10 minutes. So what you're gonna need is salt. And remember, on my recipes, when I say salt, I'm always talking about kosher salt. Kosher salt has a slightly larger grain or slightly larger crystal than table salt. So if you use table salt, you want to use a little bit less. So if it's like half a teaspoon of kosher salt, then use a quarter of a teaspoon of regular salt, but always taste. Water or coffee. I'm a big fan of coffee and chocolate together. I think the coffee brings out the chocolate flavor. My husband does not like coffee, so I will be using water today. I guess you can't really see it, can you? Water. I'm using water today instead of the coffee, but you can use coffee instead of water. Make sure it's strong. Gonna need sugar and some spices. I've got some freshly ground nutmeg, the pinch of salt is already in here, and some cinnamon, a teaspoon of vanilla. I use dark cocoa. You can use regular cocoa if you want, but you're gonna want cocoa, not the sweetened kind, not for like hot chocolate, but baking cocoa. Butter, baking powder, chocolate chips, either milk chocolate chips or dark chocolate chips. I'm using dark chocolate chips because my husband loves dark chocolate. So dark chocolate cocoa and dark chocolate chips. Pecans, totally optional. Some people like them in there, some people don't. It does add a little bit of texture. So if you have a texture issue or a sensory processing disorder kind of thing like I do, you might not want those in there. Flour and milk, which I have managed to spill all over the counter. Okay, the first thing you're gonna do is take your sugar, which is, for this first batch, or for the first step, is 1 1/4 cups. So 1 1/4 cup. And then 1/3 cup of the dark cocoa, and measure that. Just spoon it in there. You measure cocoa like you do flour. A little extra is not gonna hurt. You're gonna add the spices and the salt, and then whisk in the water. And that's why we start with the dry ingredients for this, because you need to, as you're whisking in the water, the cocoa will want to float on top. So you need to keep whisking it, get out any lumps that might be in there until it's a nice liquid batter. Well, not even really a batter, it's just liquid. Right? Once you have that done, we're going to take the butter and we're going to put that in there. And I like to slice the butter up and put it in there in chunks. It melts faster that way. This is going in the microwave for like 5 minutes. Okay, while that's in the microwave, we're going to put the rest of this together. And we're going to mix the dry ingredients right in a 2-quart casserole dish. I think I've said before, my dishes are old and they are not always standard sizes. This one is a 1 3/4 quart. I think it's from the 40s or 50s, I don't really know, but you're gonna want a 2-quart is best if you're like me and you have odd shaped dishes. 1 3/4 quart is fine. A 2 1/4 quart, whatever, okay? And you're gonna mix the dry ingredients right in the dish. So we're gonna add our flour, our baking powder, the 3/4 cup sugar, and I don't know about you, but I usually can't find my exact measure, so I end up measuring 3 1/4 cups and things like that. They're all over the house, my measuring cups and measuring spoons. They disappear. We want 1/4 cup of our dark cocoa. Again, if you get a little more, it's not going to hurt it. I'd err on the side of a little more than a little less. Once you get all your dry ingredients in there, you're going to stir that up so it's all blended. All your dry ingredients are blended in there. This is so good. It smells like chocolate. The whole kitchen is starting to smell like chocolate already. My family has a sweet tooth all year long. They do not take summers off. So if your family doesn't take summers off either, this is perfect. Okay, we're going to add the milk that I spilled all over the place. And again, I'm going to add the milk slowly while I'm whisking. That helps it get blended better. This is a very, not hugely thick, but I think it's kind of a thick batter. Sometimes it looks thicker than maybe you think it should, but you've got to trust the process here. Make sure that you scrape the bottom and the sides so that you get anything off of there that might be on there. And then add the vanilla. Mix that in really well. And now I'm just going to add the chocolate chips, which are going to make it extra gooey and extra chocolatey, and the pecans. Not going to stir that a lot. Just going to make sure that they're all covered with the batter. And the batter ends up looking like that. Lucky I didn't pour that out of the bowl, out of the dish. Okay, you don't even need to clean up these sides. We're good. Now we just need to wait for the other part to come out of the microwave, boiling hot. And then I'll be back. All right, here is the boiling hot mixture. I'm just going to give that a little stir. That actually looks like a lot more than is going to fit in this dish. So we'll see. I'm going to carefully pour this over the batter in the dish. And I'm not going to stir it. Ooh, that's going to be close. But I think we got it. Wow. Very close, but we've got it. All right. Don't stir it. This is where the magic happens. You're going to put it back in the microwave for about 8 minutes on high. And I'll see you back here then. Well, y'all, she overflowed. Apparently, size really does matter. Should have used a bigger pan, didn't use a bigger pan, it's okay. You want to stick with 2 quart or 2 1/4 quart, maybe even 2 1/2 quart. You do want it to be kind of deep because it keeps the, it makes more sauce that way. But definitely not 1 3/4 quarts, okay? Or you're going to have a huge mess to clean up like I do. But despite that, we will move along. Let me get a sip of my coffee. I really have a huge mess to clean up. In case you didn't get the full effect of the overflow here, let me show you it. There we go. But it smells delicious. It's cakey and there's a rich sauce on top. So let's give it a try. Just spoon that out. And look how rich and dark that chocolate is. And make sure that we get a good portion of that sauce in there. So good. How often is somebody going to get chocolate cake when it's 105 degrees outside in the middle of July, right? Gotta love it. All right. Move that aside. And we're gonna give it a try, which is the best part. Fudgy, kind of almost a brownie cake. And then the sauce is rich and creamy and very chocolatey. Ooh, hot. Wow, that was hotter than I expected. All right, so it's a comedy of errors today. If you don't like to use a microwave, you don't have a microwave, or you don't want to use a microwave, you can do this in a 350-degree oven for 35 to 40 minutes in a 350-degree oven. And just keep an eye on it. You don't want it to dry out too much. If you like extra sauce, you're gonna cook it a little less time. If you like more cake and less sauce, then you're gonna cook it a little longer. But y'all, despite the mess and the spillover, this is so good. I hope you'll give it a try. And let me know what you think, okay? And there you have it. Microwave chocolate pudding cake or chocolate cobbler in 10 minutes. Overflow optional, but highly entertaining. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I'll see y'all next week. I love y'all. Bye-bye.